Hi, and welcome to my fourth day of video diaries from watching the movies at Tiff. On with the first film. The first film is Belle, and it's directed by Ama Asante, a female British director. And it stars Gugu Mbatha Raw, and she plays the character from the title. Belle, actually, she's referred to in the film as Dido Elizabeth Bell, and she is a mixed race heiress that is, being raised as an heiress. And she is shown to be just saved before going into the slave trade because this is late 18th century England, and England is still heavily involved in the slave trade at the time. Now, uh, what happens in the film is it's not only showing us all the things that could happen um, when a young woman of mixed race is being raised as an heiress in the countryside with relatives because her father, the admiral, is away at wars, even though he's the one who does rescue her and acknowledges her and does show her love and brings her into the family fold and asks that she be accorded all the benefits of being of his blood. So, this is sort of the setup, and so she's raised, and there's a lot of great dramatic potential there. So when I read this sort of the description, that's what I was focusing on. I thought that was really interesting, but there's this other aspect of it in that she was uh, also somehow somewhat involved in a trial that was marking the beginning of the end of slavery in England. Let's put it that way. And the man put in charge of raising her is a lord, and he has a home, a residence out in the countryside. And as a lord, he also is involved in the judicial system, and so he apparently is the one who is involved with this particular trial about insurance, dealing with insurance and slaves at the time. Uh, and so already you can see how big a story this is. The thing is, what's unfortunate is there's two things. I guess there is probably a lack of, documentation about this young woman. So there's almost there's a lot of sort of blank spaces, and I'm assuming that the things that we weren't shown that would sort of they begged to be shown and stuff like that, I think were because they just didn't want to fake it, which is fine, which is a fine decision to make. The director is also the writer of the screenplay, so I suppose she just wanted to sort of like, okay, well, let's just sort of we can gloss over certain things because what's really important are the things that we do know, which is fair. But where I might have a problem with this film is that it was possibly too short. Even though um, I didn't like sort of some of the dialogue was bothersome in that it seemed either like expository, so it didn't seem realistic, or the characters were kind of getting to a dramatic point with too few steps. Like I didn't really see that there was no time for that slow burn and build up in certain instances. Things were kind of uh, too fast in some areas. I think that's how I feel about it. It's hard to tell because there was a sort of another problem, which I will touch on, but I just wanted to finally say that I think by the end I thought, okay, I liked the story generally. It was well acted. It was actually beautifully filmed. Really beautiful scenes, great scenes of the countryside and the palace and just the grandeur of it, great costumes and everything, and then going to London, the recreation of London of that time, also impeccable. So really good quality, uh, filmmaking for sure. It looks great, and the actors are delivering believable interpretations of the script. but I think potential was lost in the fact that it was made into a film, like a movie. I think it would have benefited by being a miniseries. Honestly, that subject matter is interesting enough for us to really get involved in these people's lives and have the room to breathe in those sort of the way those characters go from this one incident and how that sort of spins them in this different direction. I mean, that family in that circumstance were just suddenly told, okay, here it is. That's my kid. Accept it. Deal with it. I've dealt with it. I love her. This is happening, you know. And the law somehow was on his side, which is great. And but nonetheless, just yeah, I think there was some issues there. I don't want to dwell on it too much because I think there is another opportunity to see it on Saturday at 6:30 at the Tiff Bell Lightbox. I think it's still worth seeing. So because it's not a bad movie going experience in general. It's just that yeah, I think it's the format though. They had a lot of trouble apparently getting this film made. And so maybe that's as good as they could get. Maybe they even intended for it to be a miniseries because certainly I'm telling you, there's enough in there, and it did feel a little bit crunched.